All right, it's 2:41, and we just heard two extended examples, marvelous examples of the magic chemistry between Elvin Jones and John Coltrane. That last item was called Vigil, and it's from the album Kula Samama on Impulse Records, recorded in June '65, a duo between John Coltrane and Elvin Jones. Before that, Your Lady, which was a real loping 6/8 kind of feel with the classic quartet with McCoy, Jimmy Garrison, Coltrane, and Elvin Jones. And we began with a little bit of a drum solo from something called Pursuance from the album which probably every young jazz musician of that generation owned, called The Love Supreme. And again, that's the classic John Coltrane Quartet. All these tracks were recorded in 1963, 64, and Vigil recorded in 1965. Now we turn to Mel Lewis.
It's, you talk about conversation and about knowing each other, I don't think there was anything better than Train and Alvin. They had such an understanding, and it goes back to I could see that because when we traveled together, the periods after the concerts, that Alvin would always want to go to John's room, always. And he dragged me along because I was his roommate, And we go out once in a while and horse around, because we're over in Europe and all that, and go to a club or something to play. We go and sit in somewhere. But most of the time, it was go to John's room. And I enjoyed it because, I could sit there and listen in on their conversations. And it was a learning process. It was very interesting, their thoughts and their feelings towards each other. It was beautiful, And it was like a lot the way Thad and I were with each other, because when Thad and I would do quartet things, the understanding, the feelings between what he was going to do, and we always, in fact, you can hear it between him and I on that A&M record.
I was just going to mention that.
Quartet.
It's out again now.
It's out again.
Yeah.
And the rhythm section at that time, Rufus and Harold Danko and myself, but actually I was, I just knew where Thad was going to go. And you never knew where he was going to go, but I knew where he was going to go. And it was wonderful. It was really great. So I know how they felt towards each other. It was a definite, and I know Alvin just felt horrible when John left us, because, and then, see, but later on when Alvin got his own groups after that, it didn't work because he was always looking like he got some good players like Joe Farrell and Dave Liebman and a few other people, and Charlie Mariano and all that, but they weren't John Coltrane.
And he was looking for
another John Coltrane. He was trying to continue so that he could play and be himself, but he never found that kind of person again. So, to me, the best thing he could have done was just get a good group and just swing. And once in a while play a drum solo, and do your thing on the drum solo, But I don't think he ever found anybody that that they could where what's the word I'm looking for?
Umbilical cord.
Well, whatever. No,
I don't know.
no, but where they're
Yeah.
they just.
Well, look,
it's right.
It's
like
magic.
one. It's like one mind. You
Right.
know?
And I think it.
Yeah, magic is a good word.
I mean, it only. It rarely happens, and it certainly only happens once in a
Yeah.
career when you find that one.
That's it.
That one musical thing. I mean, you
Yeah.
know. I mean, Ellington never found another Strayhorn, and
No, no,
Lester Young never really found another Count Basie.
no.
You know, just these matches are made.
Yeah.
But Elvin, of course, like similarly to Louis Bellson, has had a distinguished career as a band leader and drum soloist in his own right up to the very present day. It's 2:45, and I think I'd like to play two tracks, if I can squeeze them in here, to just show another side of Elvin for the very individualistic things he was doing with John Coltrane. At the same time, he was also continued to make great records with old friends of his, and show just how versatile an artist he is. And we're going to hear one track with Bill Evans and Stan Getz recorded at the same time,
That should
believe it
be
or not,
very
that he was
nice.
making these records.
Yeah.
And then another track done about 10 years or so ago with Tommy Flanagan and George Mraz. So another side of Elvin Jones. Okay, two from Elvin Jones, one with Stan Getz, Bill Evans, and I think Ron Carter on bass, or Richard Davis. I'll have to check the record here. That was called Grandfather's Waltz. That was Richard Davis on bass, from autumn 1964. And then we heard a trio with George Mraz and Tommy Flanagan and a Thad Jones tune that it turns out Mel Lewis recorded many years ago called 5021. Well, just final comments on Elvin Jones?
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, in a short time today, we heard all sides of Elvin. You know, I mean, you couldn't have covered him any better, really. I mean, we heard him in a trio, a conventional trio, really. You know, because Flanagan is not an outside piano player, and he complimented him. And with Getz, you know, who plays the way he plays, is Stan Getz, and he complimented him.
Bill Evans,
and of course, Bill Evans, you know, and he was complimentary to everybody he played with. Which showed his versatility. You know, there's a lot of things that people don't know about Elvin that they only know him with Coltrane, and they don't realize that he could do anything. I knew that. I mean, I knew it years ago, and in fact, if I have, what time is it?
No, just talk from you.
All right, I have time to tell a very funny story.
Sure.
Is that Hank? You know, we were always trying to get Elvin into the. They're trying to get. I wasn't living here then, but they were trying to get Elvin into the studio work scene because he could read, and not anything heavy, but he could read what the average job called for.
Sure.
And Hank finally convinced Emil Charlap, who was a big contractor in New York, to use Elvin on a big date with strings down at Columbia Studios. So wouldn't you know? And Elvin was very happy about it. He had a chance to go in and do something. On the day of the date, all of a sudden, Coltrane got a call to go to Chicago. And he called Elvin and says, "You got to leave this afternoon. We got to be there tonight." You know, that was it. Yeah. And now Coltrane, he couldn't reach Emil. He couldn't reach Hank for some reason or other. I don't know, maybe Elvin. Right. Yeah, who did I say?
Hank.
Oh yeah, I didn't mean that. So now he's panicking. He didn't know how to reach Emil Charlap. He had no idea how to reach him. And I mean, he could have if he could have called the union or something like that. But he was in a panic because he had to pack and get out of there and all that, you know. So and get his drums and get to the airport. It was a whole scene. And so he's running along. He's going down. He doesn't know what to do. So he's going around and he runs into a drummer who I will not name. You know, a young black drummer. Who he says, "Do you want to do a record date this afternoon?" And the guy said, "Sure." He says, "All right, be at Columbia Studios on 30th Street at such and such a time." Well, this guy went down there a little earlier, and he walked in with his drums, and he sees the setup man who was setting up the studio, and he sees all these chairs and all these music stands and all that, and he says to the man, he says, "How big is this date?" And the guy said to him, "Oh, it's about 45 or 50 people." And this cat picked up his drums and walked out of the studio. He just panicked him immediately. So I can't handle 45 or 50 people. He could have. He didn't realize it was like ballads, you know, it was brushes. Actually, he just played, that's all. But I don't want to name him because he was prominent and he's a nice cat, you know. I don't want to. But I mean, I don't know why he did what he did. But then, all right, now everybody shows up for the date. It's time for to play, and no Elvin. And Elvin doesn't know that this cat cut out. So everybody's asking, where's Elvin? You know, and of course, Hank is angry now because this is my brother, after all I went through, you know, he pulls this, you know. And they couldn't find him. No answer at home and so on. And Emil's drugged because, you know, when a date's supposed to start and you got that many people, who's going to pay for the overtime? You know, that's the whole routine. The companies don't like it either, you know. And Elvin's, he's thinking that everything's taken care of, see, but it wasn't. So anyway, Hank got mad enough at him that he wouldn't talk to him for a long time because he embarrassed him. But what happened was what caused this was that the setup man, he said, the drummer showed up here. He says, they said, what did he look like? He said, well, he's a young black guy, you know. And they said, oh, black guy. So they thought it was Elvin. He says, he asked me how many people were in the band. When I told him, he packed up his drums and split. And they thought that was Elvin that did that. But Elvin didn't do that. So when I was on this tour with Elvin, he told me about it. And he says, man, he said, my brother still won't, he's mad at me, you know.
Yeah.
I said, well, you told me the story, so when I see him, which
Right.
when that tour was over, I had to see him because we worked together on that Bob Brookmeyer Gloomy Sunday album.
Right.
But because that was being held till I got back with Dizzy. And when I got there, Hank was on the date, and I went to him and I said, I told him what happened. He says, well, I didn't know that. I said, well, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't know that happened either. Nobody told him until he found out later. Because he just happened to find out what happened, you know.
Oh, God.
So that was what it was. So I said, well, why don't you guys get together, you know. So they did, you know.
Yeah. All right.
But, I mean, that proved that Elvin could have handled a normal studio job, you know.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
So that shows you how, just again, how versatile he was.
I know that Hank also got him an audition with Benny Goodman in 1956,
Oh,
too.
I believe that.
Yeah. All right, we're going to get out of here, make room for the next show, which is Jeff Tallman and Afternoon Music, of another special show. So, Mel, thanks, and we'll see you on part 9.
Lauren. Yeah, part 9 will be, so we'll let you know.
We'll let you know when it'll be. Stay tuned for
but
Tuesday.
It will be, yeah.
It will be shortly. And listen for announcements on Tuesday afternoons out to lunch as to when that broadcast will be coming up. 6 minutes after 3, thanks to Jeff for all that extra time. Thanks, everybody. I'd like to mention that this Sunday on Jazz Profiles is a profile of one of Mel's favorite drummers, Ed Blackwell.
Oh, great.
The great New Orleans drummer Ed Blackwell will be profiled this Sunday on Jazz Profiles from 2 to 8. Okay, everybody, thanks a lot. Stay tuned. This is WKCR FM, New York.